الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبا القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه الأخيار المنتجبين. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
اللهم صل على موسى بن جعفر وعلى آبائه. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everybody. Inshallah, I will straight away start with today's topic. And today is actually to respond to certain claims that are mentioned on the Ismaili website, or let me say on the website of our Ismaili brothers. And I would like to make a clarification. I am not attacking the Ismailis. I am only responding based on the claims which are found on their website and which certain unscrupulous elements have actually copied or transmitted in order to attack the Shias. And we have witnessed this to the extent that a Salafi actually used the same baseless arguments in order to trap a Shia brother on Clubhouse and then go ahead and misrepresent the encounter as a formal debate, sort of. So, inshallah, I will pin the website of the Ismailis, and I will start from the beginning, and I will respond with evidence in order to correct. This is the intention of this room. I will respond to many points that are mentioned, which I believe they are either misquotations, misinterpretation, mistranslation, or deliberately or outright lies. This is what they are. And today I will treat a number of the points. I cannot treat everything because there are many. So today I will actually treat as many as possible. And then inshallah, I will make a part 2 tomorrow under the same heading. Then inshallah, afterwards, we still have some way to go. I still have to treat the issue of Bada, which hasn't really been extensively touched on. Please, can somebody invite Brother Hassan? I'm trying, Hassan, if you're there.
Yeah, I did the same, but nothing's happened.
So I will pin the website of our Ismaili Agha brothers. So this is where I would be reading from. You may actually have to open this website on your browser in order to keep track with the points that I will be responding to. So the title of this write-up or article or booklet or pamphlet, whatever it is, who succeeded Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq? This is the main heading, and it says 7 proofs for the imamate of Imam Ismail ibn Ja'far. Brother Nadim, please let me mod you so you can invite Brother Hassan. So this is the heading. So if you scroll down, you see summary of the 7 proofs. So they have given their proof 1, proof 2, proof 3, proof 4, proof 5, 6, and 7. Now, under proof 1, there are several claims. Same thing with the other so-called proofs. Now, below the summary, they start with expanding the proofs. They started with historical facts about quote and unquote Imam Ismail ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. So the first claim is Ismail was one of the two eldest sons of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. His mother was a descendant of Imam al-Hasan. Yes, we don't have a problem with this. He was not the oldest. Abdullah, he was the oldest son, and we refer to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. And in our literature and books, he's called Abu Abdullah al-Sadiq, the father of Abdullah, because Abdullah al-Aftah, he was the oldest son, and he was older than Ismail alayhi salam. So, the first point, no problem. The second point, Ismail bin Ja'far referred to himself as Ahlul Bayt. Ahl, A-H-L, Al-A-L, Bayt. So they mentioned a hadith from volume 6 of Al-Kafi al-Sharif by Sheikh al-Kulayni that a doctor once offered to treat his illness with wine, to which Ismail alayhi salam replied, wine is forbidden. We are the Ahl Al-A-L Bayt, and we do not heal ourselves through what is forbidden. So please, if you haven't saved the website that is pinned, please do so, because I'm going to be presenting my proofs and I will have to remove this website that is actually pinned. So I will pin the hadith. So let's examine if this claim is actually true, or if they have actually misquoted the hadith. I'm trying to carefully select my words here. So I will open the hadith and I will pin it. Sorry, I think my mic was shut. I didn't realize. What did I last say? What did I say last?
While you were pinning the link, that's the end.
Okay. So I've pinned the link, and this hadith is in Al-Kafi Al-Sharif, Volume 6, under the chapter heading of compulsion to drink wine as medicine in test or in fear, in brackets, taqiyya. In other words, under extreme cases, you are actually excused for you to actually, for example, take wine as medicine if it is proven that your life actually depends on it or it's out of necessity. Just like in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also said, if you eat pork and you don't mean to be disobedient, Allah will not hold it against you. Allah is forgiving if your life actually depends on it. So now, the chapter heading is clear. So I will scroll to the end of the translation, the hadith translation. At the last sentence, it says, Ismail said, Al-Nabid, that's wine, is unlawful, and I belong to a family who do not use unlawful things as medicine. So you see the English translation on thaqalain.net. The English translation is clear. It's translated what our Ismaili brothers are translating or mistranslating on their website as Ahl al-Bayt. Thaqalain.net translated the word or the term into family. Because I am insisting on this point because they are trying to send the idea that Ismail was claiming to be part of the Ahl al-Bayt in the technical meaning. This is the impression they are actually giving to whoever is reading the website. Now, impression or not, using the word Ahl al-Bayt is wrong because in the Arabic, it's not Ahl al-Bayt, the generic term based on, for example, 33. In the Arabic of this hadith, it is not Ahl al-Bayt that appears. I will read the Arabic. So this is either a deliberate mistranslation or maybe, a mistake, Allahu A'lam. Maybe the person doesn't know, whoever is typing on the website doesn't know how to translate properly. But this is not even the translation on thaqalain.net. Tayyib. Say the Arabic. He said, at the bottom of the hadith, he said, قال إسماعيل النبيذ حرام وإن أهل بيت لا نستشفي بالحرام. إن أهل بيت. He didn't say إن أهل البيت. There is no al. He said, I belong to a family. Not that I am from the Ahlul Bayt. This is for clarification's sake. But as I go on, you will see that this sort of mistakes are actually the trend in the article on the Ismaili website. So Ismail alayhi salam, he never said, I am Ahlul Bayt or Inna Ahlul Bayt. No, he said that وَإِنَّ أَهْلَ بَيْتٍ لَا نَسْتَشْفِي بِالْحَرَامِ. I am from a house. I am from the people of a house, not the people of the house. This is an important difference because even when it comes to our Sunni brothers, we insist that Aisha or the wives, they are not part of Ahl al-Bayt. Were they, part of Ahl Bayt al-Rasul, the house of the Prophet? Yes. Are they part of the Ahl Bayt? Yes. Are they part of Ahl al-Bayt? No. This is not, I don't think this was an innocent mistranslation. Tayyib. I will go to the second point. So, the second point on the historical facts about Ismail bin Ja'far, or not the second point, the first point I didn't have a problem with it, the second point I did. So the third point, they say Ismail used to give religious rulings to the Shia community on his own authority without referring to Imam Ja'far, in brackets. And two of the rulings are recorded in the 12 Hadith compilations. So, if you read this, that Ismail used to give religious rulings, in other words, he was the Imam. This is what they are trying to establish here. They are not telling you that, Ismail was the Mufti of Medina, or he was employed by, his father, or maybe the Caliph, or whatever. No, or he was a scholar, he was an alim. No, the impression here and the mission of them actually stating this is in order to give the impression that he was the Imam. Imam Ma'asum Muftarad at-Ta'a. His Ta'a is obligatory. Allah has made his obedience obligatory. This is the point. First of all, we will check the first hadith, and then we will go to the second hadith. Let's see what these two hadiths are actually talking about. I will pin the first hadith. And of course, this hadith is actually not evidence for Ismail, and you will get to realize this point. So this is Al-Kafi, Volume 7, under the chapter heading of Testimony of Children. So under this chapter, there are 6 hadiths. So the first hadith is actually from Ismail. So it's not from his father, it's from Ismail. So what does this hadith say? It says Ali ibn Ibrahim has narrated from Muhammad ibn Isa, from Yunus, from Abu Ayyub al-Khazzaz, who has narrated the following. I once asked Ismail ibn Ja'far, when is it permissible for a boy to testify? When is it permissible for a boy to testify? It means to be a witness. When is it permissible? This is the question that was posed to Ismail alayhi salam. So Ismail said, it is permissible when he becomes 10 years old. Then Abu Ayyub al-Khazzaz said, can he issue a command? Can he give a command? He said, the Messenger of Allah, O Allah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, the Messenger of Allah went to bed with Aisha when she was 10 years old. And it is not permissible to go to bed with a girl unless she is a woman. Aisha, in brackets, Aisha was not underage. So he goes on to say, when a boy becomes 10 years old, his commanding is possible and his testimony is admissible. So I'm not going to tell you here what's in the bracket. No, I'm going to explain to you why on thakalain.net they have included this. First of all, if you check all the narrations, narrations over here. You have Da'if, you have Hasan, and you have Sahih. This one from Ismail is Sahih. The second one is from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, hadith number 2, under the same chapter. What does it say? It says, I once asked Abu Abdullah alayhi salam if presenting testimony by children is permissible. The Imam said, in the case of murder, his first words are accepted, but not in second ones. So, in other words, a child can actually give evidence under certain circumstances. This is point number one. So, this actually conflicts with the ruling which Ismail is given here. Now, it doesn't really matter here because, it is not my Imam. So, it's fine with me. And there is a point that will be proven. So, you go down to the fourth hadith under the same chapter heading. Muhammad ibn Muslim, who has narrated the following about the case of a child if he's bearing testimony to an existing testimony. The Imam said if his reason can comprehend when he becomes mature, then that is right, it is then permissible. In other words, if a child gives a testimony and then when he becomes mature, he's baligh, then he remembers what he uttered, then this is admissible. Now, this goes against the ruling of Ismail with another point. Ismail is given an age. When he's 10 years old, his testimony is admissible. The Imam is saying when he becomes mature. In Islam, maturity means bulugh, and more evidence will be given for this. So this is the second problem that, the first problem is children under certain circumstances can give testimony. The first problem. The second problem is the child has to be mature. And we know in Islam, a boy matures at 12, not at 10. Usually at 12. So you go down to hadith number, this is number 4. Yeah, so number 5 is Da'if ala al-mashhur. So we can say, oh, well, we can also give it consideration. So this one is from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam through Imam Sadiq. He said, if children are asked to bear testimony, if they did so as children, it is permissible. When they grow up, to present it if they have not forgotten. This is what Imam Ali alayhi salam is saying. Tayyib. So let's see the hadith from Ismail, the first hadith under the chapter. What does Allama al-Majlisi, who owns or who authored Mir'atul Uqul, which is the sharh or the commentary on Al-Kafi, on the hadith of Al-Kafi. What does Allama al-Majlisi say about this hadith of Ismail, whereby he's saying that when a boy becomes 10 years old, it is actually okay for him, for his testimony to be admissible. Let me pin for you his sharh from Mir'atul Uqul. This is volume 24, page 235 from Mir'atul Uqul by Allama al-Majlisi. So, if you scroll down, he said, Al-Hadith al-Awwal Sahih. So, the chain of the hadith is Sahih. Then he goes on to comment on the matan. He said, وَلَعَلَّ ذِكْرَهُمْ لهذا القول المبني على القياس الباطل من إسماعيل لبيان عدم قابلته للإمامة أو قابلته للإمامة. He said, perhaps their mentioning of this statement of Ismail is built on his baseless qiyas in comparing, the age of a boy to Aisha when she's allegedly got married to the Prophet at 10. So his statement is based on qiyas, which is batil. It has no grounds. It's invalid. Min Ismail libayan. So they mention this from Ismail libayan to show Adam qabilitihi lil imama, that he is not competent to be the imam. He doesn't have what it takes. This is the commentary on the hadith, which our Ismaili brothers have actually put on their website, and they are celebrating it, that, Ismail used to give rulings to the Shia community independently of his father. So this is the explanation for the hadith. And I will go further because this is quite important. I will go to Sayyid al-Khou'i, what he says about giving testimony. I will pin this. This is from the book of Sayyid al-Khou'i. It's called Takmilat Minhaj al-Salihin, al-Sayyid al-Khou'i, page 23. This book is this chapter, under the book, it's called Kitab al-Shahadat Fasl fi Shara'it al-Shahada, the book of testimonies and the conditions of testimony. Number 1, bulugh. He said, فلا تقبل شهادة الصبيان. نعم تقبل شهادتهم في القتل إذا كانت واجدة للشرائط ويؤخذ بأول كلامهم وفي قبول شهادتهم في الجرح إشكال. He said, under certain circumstances, like for example the issue of murder, the issue of killing, the testimony of a child can be taken, his first words. And this is based on a hadith in Wasa'il al-Shia, which I will bring. So if the child gives a testimony, his first few words or his first words would actually be taken. It will be acceptable. But not the other words which he utters or the second statement which he gives. But generally, it's not accepted for a child to give testimony except when he is a baligh. He has to have attained the age of puberty. By and large, boys do not attain the age of puberty at 10. Now, if there are exceptions, this hadith still does not cover the question, because it's talking about children generally. There is no specification in the hadith. So, I will take you now to what is mentioned in Wasa'il al-Shia by Sheikh al-Hurr al-Amili, volume 18, page 253. I will pin this. He said, he mentioned a hadith here, وعن عدة من أصحابنا, from a group of our companions, عن سهل بن زياد, عن أحمد بن محمد بن أبي نصر, عن جميل قال سألت أبا عبد الله عليه السلام عن الصبي تجوز شهادته في القتل قال يؤخذ بأول كلامه ولا يؤخذ بالثاني. So, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was asked, can a child's testimony be taken in the case of in the murder case? The Imam said his first words will be taken and his second statement will not. What comes out from him first will be acceptable. And of course, there are many hadiths under this chapter on the issue of testimony and similarly. So this goes against the ruling of Ismail alayhi salam. Tayyib. Now, I will give you a third Shia scholar. This is Ayatollah al-Ha'iri. So nobody comes, say, oh, no. When I mention the name of Ismail, I say alayhi salam, and we will come to this, why I say this. You will see the reason. Because I believe he was the son of my Imam, and he was beloved to him and everything. We don't have a problem with Ismail. No problem with Ismail. But we don't believe he was an Imam. And whoever believes he was an Imam, no problem, as long as we can prove it. So, Al-Ha'iri, in the website that I pinned now, he said, وَعَلَى أَيِّ حَالٍ فَلَا عِبْرَةٌ أو فَلَا عِبْرَةً بِهَذَا الْحَدِيث. That in any case, this hadith doesn't have any meaning or any weight. لأنه حديث عن إسماعيل بن جعفر وليس حديثا عن الإمام. Because this is a hadith from Ismail and not from the Imam himself. على أن استشهاده أو استشهاده بدخول النبي بعائشة وهي بنت 10 سنين واضح البطلان. That him picking on the case of Aisha, using that as the basis for his ruling, shows that his ruling is void. It's nullified. طيب. Now, we go further because, let's assume, this ruling by Ismail is actually correct. This is a correct ruling, and let's assume everything with the ruling is fine. Now, in the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, were there other people who used to give rulings for the Shias? I will present to you a case here. This is the case of Hisham ibn al-Hakam, a companion of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. I will pin the link from Mu'jam, the Mu'jam of Sayyid al-Khu'i. This is from Mu'jam Rijal al-Hadith by Sayyid al-Khu'i, volume 20. This is person number 13,358, Hisham ibn al-Hakam. So, Sayyid al-Khu'i is presenting the words of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The Imam said, "This is our supporter with his heart, tongue, and hand." And he's saying, Imam Sadiq saying, Hisham ibn al-Hakam is the pioneer of our right, the embodiment of our sayings, the one who endorses our truthfulness, and the defender against the falsehood of our enemies. This is the praise for Hisham. And Hisham is known to be a faqih. Tayyib. This is one. Second example is Aban ibn Taghlib, another companion of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. This is from thaqalain.net, and there is a chapter heading here. This is Mu'jam al-Ahadith al-Mu'tabara, Aban ibn Taghlib, hadith number 2. It says, Abu Abdullah al-Sadiq alayhi salam said to Aban, "Sit and attend to the people of Medina, answer their questions. For I like it that someone like you be seen among our Shia. قال لي أبو عبد الله عليه السلام جالس أهل المدينة فإني أحب أن يرى في شيعتنا مثلك. This is what Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam instructed Aban to do. Now, I will give another example of an Imam. If that is not clear enough, I will give you another example. And I can give you, for example, the case of Malik al-Ashtar, even from the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But, let me give you something more, something more substantial in the case that it's not common knowledge, perhaps. طيب. This is from Bihar al-Anwar, volume 2, page 251. This is from Imam al-Rida, just to show that the Imams used to have people who represented them when it comes to rulings, where they are not present. So, Muhammad bin Qulaywi, عن سعد عن محمد بن عيسى عن أحمد بن الوليد عن علي بن المسيب قال قلت للرضا عليه السلام شقتي أو شقتي بعيدة ولست أصل إليك في كل وقت, that my place of staying is very far away. I am not able to come to you at all times. فمن أخذ معالم ديني? From whom should I take the teachings of my religion? قال من زكريا بن آدم القمي المأمون على الدين والدنيا. That if you're far away, you cannot come to the Imam to ask questions. You can take your religion from Zakaria bin Adam al-Qummi al-Ma'mun ala al-Dini wad-Dunya, who is entrusted with the religion and the worldly affairs. I think this far is sufficient on this point. Then I will go to the second hadith which is mentioned here. This is from Al-Kafi under this claim that Ismail used to, give the rulings and all that. Then they presented two hadiths. This is the second hadith. This is Al-Kafi, volume 7, under the chapter heading of the Riyah Ahadith, hadith number 21. This hadith is a story. It's not a ruling. It's not, as far as the hadith, the matin is concerned. Ismail is telling us about a story from the time of Dawood alayhi salam. Now, whether he has heard this story from his father or Jibril gave him this story or wherever he got it from, Allahu A'lam. It will be a matter of speculation. But this is not the point, because the hadith definitely, apparently here, the hadith needs explanation. But we have to take note that this is not a hukum, it's not an amr, it's a khabar, it's a news from the past that Ismail is giving us here from the time of Dawood. Now, the hadith itself, if you go down, it says da'if. The hadith is da'if. طيب. The first hadith is sahih. This one is da'if. طيب. What did Allama al-Majlisi, what did he comment on this? I will pin Mir'atul Uqul of Allama al-Majlisi on this hadith. This is Mir'atul Uqul, volume 24, page 305. He said, الحديث الحادي والعشرون موقوف. That this hadith is موقوف. In other words, it goes back to the companion of a ma'soom, but it doesn't attribute to the ma'soom himself. It is story by the way. These are the two ahadith which have been given in the Ismaili website under, the fantastic claim that he used to do ifta. One hadith, the ruling is wrong, and Allama al-Majlisi commented that perhaps this companion actually, they asked him this question in order to test his knowledge. Then the second one is a story about Dawood. It is mawquf. Now, we go to the next point. It says, Ismail bin Ja'far reported several hadiths from the prior Imams. One important example is that Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam entrusted Ismail to keep and preserve Imam Zainul Abidin's Sahifa, as-Sahifatul Sajjadiyya, the famous collection of supplications. This is mentioned in the transmission chain of the Sahifa as follows. Then he said to his son, "Stand up, O Ismail, and bring out the supplications which I commanded you to memorize and safeguard." So Ismail stood up and he brought out a Sahifa, just like the Sahifa which Yahya ibn Zayd had handed over to me. Abu Abdullah alayhi salam kissed it and placed it upon his eyes. He said, "This is the handwriting of my father and the dictation of my grandfather, upon both of them be peace, while I was a witness." Tayyib. So, how do we treat this claim here? Because why I'm touching on this, because these are actually been presented as evidence for the Imamah of Ismail ibn Ja'far. What I agree with, I will say I agree with this point, even though it does not substantiate his claim or their claim that he didn't claim Imamah, the claim of his supposed followers. So what I agree with, I will tell you this claim, I agree with it. There is no problem. What I don't agree with, I will explain and I will give a refutation. Tayyib. So, is it something wonderful that Ismail alayhi salam, who is the son of an Imam, the brother of an Imam, the grandson of Imams, is it fantastic that he is a narrator of hadith? No. Many narrators from among the Sahaba of the Imams, the companions of the Imams. Now, what does Sayyid al-Khu'i say in his Rijal book about Ismail? How does he describe Ismail? Let's check. This is from al-Khu'i. I'm going step by step, point by point, detail by detail. So, giving you evidence so nobody can say, I have wronged anybody or anyone, or I have said something wrong. He said, So he mentioned the hadith of Faid al-Mukhtar, which I read yesterday, that Ismail does not resemble me or resemble my father, and he used to drink and all, all these allegations which are made against Ismail. In spite of that, what does Al-Khu'i, Sayyid Al-Khu'i says? He said, فإنه تصدر منه المعصية غير مرة وهذا لا ينافي جلالته فإن العادل التقي أيضا قد تصدر منه المعصية ولو كانت صغيرة لكنه يتذكر فيتوب. That even if Ismail is attributed with certain small sins, this does not actually negate his reliability in reporting hadith or his greatness. It doesn't. Then see what he said after he made an analysis. He gave a summary. Just a minute. He said, وَالْمُتَحَصِّلْ أَنَّ إسماعيل بن جعفر. He said, in summary, Ismail ibn Ja'far, Jalil, he's Jalil. In other words, he was glorious. وَكَانَ مَوْرِدْ عَطْفِ الْإِمَامِ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. And he enjoyed the affection of the Imam, his father, عليه السلام. على ما نطقت به صحيحة أبي خديجة الجمال. Based on the hadith of Abi Khadija. Then he goes on to say, ويؤكد ذلك ما ورد عن الصادق عليه السلام من تقبيله إسماعيل بعد موته مرارا. That this is, evidence. This is substantiating evidence that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when Ismail passed away, he kissed him like so many times. He was so moved by the death of his son. So, in other words, we accept his hadith. But does this prove that if he's a narrator of hadith, so he's an imam? The answer is no. So, if he has narrated the hadith about the merits, because the hadith, some of the hadith, for example, he narrated, like one, for example, has to do with the merits of praying in the mosque of Rasulullah in Medina. The benefit of wearing a ring. So we don't have issues with this. And even if the hadith of Aisha, for example, makes sense, and they agree with other hadiths, we take from Aisha. The other point is, he was entrusted with keeping the copy of Sahifatul Sajjadiyah. Does this prove he was an imam? We have no problem with this. Especially that we see the precedence in Kitab Sulaim. Sulaim ibn al-Qais al-Hilali. Kitab Sulaim is from him. Major ahadith of the Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam, the secret of the Ahlul Bayt. And who preserved Kitab Sulaim? Abban ibn Abi Ayyash. So, is Abban, is he an imam? Is Sulaim an imam? No. So, this does not make either Sulaim or Abban imams. طيب. We go to the next point. It says, Ismail bin Ja'far reported prayers and supplications from Imam al-Baqir. I think we are done with this. In one report, Imam Baqir affectionately referred to Ismail as my son. Imam Ali used to love Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. How we love Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Was he an imam? No. He loved, we love Ismail. We don't have a problem with Ismail alayhi salatu wassalam. No problem. We don't negate this. Then the next point, this is, this is, this needs some, analysis. This point says Ismail was deputized by his father, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, on several occasions, and traveled with the Imam on some journeys. This was similar to how Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam accompanied his father, Imam al-Baqir, to visit the Abbasid court. On one occasion, the Abbasid governor's chief of the police murdered Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq's follower, Al-Mu'alla bin al-Khunais. In response, Imam Ja'far asked Ismail to enact the Quranic law of retaliation, qisas, and execute the murderer. O Ismail, it is your matter to take care of. Then Ismail went out with his sword and killed him in his gathering. MashaAllah. How do we respond to this? So, first of all, when you use the term deputized, did Imam Sadiq, for example, hold a political office? No, he didn't hold a political office. So what's the meaning of deputized here? This needs to be answered. Then, traveling with his father, is this a condition for Imamah? No. I will show you the conditions for Imamah. So, the Prophet, for example, appointed Osama ibn Zayd to lead the army. And Abu Bakr and Umar were under the command of, they were placed under the command of Osama bin Zayd. Does this mean Osama has become the Imam after the Prophet? No. Rasulullah gave the banner for the battle of Khaybar to Abu Bakr. He failed. He came back. He gave it to Umar. He failed. In Yemen, he sent Khalid ibn al-Walid. So does this mean, everybody, the Prophet, deputized in a certain context, immediately he becomes an Imam? Does this equal to Nas? The answer is no. So how do we even, identify the succeeding Imam based on our ahadith? How do we know the Imam who is to come? Do we have explanation for this? The answer is yes. There's an entire chapter in Al-Kafi, and I will pin the link to this. This is an entire chapter on identifying the Imam. And those attributes given to Ismail on this website, deputized, he was traveling with his father, he took his sword and killed somebody. These are not the signs of the Imam. Under this chapter, I have pinned the link from Al-Kafi. You will find here 7 hadiths. The first one, Sahih. What does it say? From Imam al-Rida, alayhi salam. When the Imam dies, through what means would we know the succeeding Imam? He said, for the Imam, there are certain signs. Of such sign, one is that he must be the eldest son of his father. Ismail was not the eldest. Of course, there is another hadith to actually explain this, that if he is the oldest and he doesn't have a defect. Now, Ismailis do not believe in Abdullah al-Aftah, that he was the Imam. They don't. Abdullah al-Aftah Aba Abdullah. We call Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam Aba Abdullah, the father of Abdullah. Neither the Twelvers nor the Ismailis give any importance to Abdullah. Of course, there is an explanation, and inshallah, in the coming days, when I get to the Fathiyya, today, now, this days I'm talking about Ismailis. No, it's not like because I'm attacking Ismailis, but because it is relevant to the Imamah historically. I am not talking about your beliefs. I'm not talking about your Agha Khan. I'm not talking about anything. I am talking about these things in the historical context because it relates, or they relate, to the Imamah of Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam. It's the historical narrative I am given here, and I am disagreeing with. طيب. So, the Imam goes on to say, he must be the oldest son, and of course the oldest if he doesn't have a defect. The will, that's the wasiyah or the nas, and excellence must be found in him. Yani if he's a jahil, he doesn't know anything, like for example, now I wouldn't call Ismail a jahil, even if he makes a mistake. Because Ismail was not a jahil. This is true. He was not a jahil, even if he makes certain mistakes which are found in the narrations. But I wouldn't call Ismail a jahil. No. But Abdullah, for example, he was the oldest. He was older to Ismail. He was a jahil. He was a jahil. He was even condemned by his father. Tayyib. So the Imam goes on. He said the will and excellence must be found in him. And when people come to ask who is appointed the executor of the will, in answer it can be said that so and so is appointed the executor of the will. People will know who is the executor of will of the father. The armament with us is like the ark among the Israelites. That's the weapon of Rasulullah, the sword of Rasulullah. This is one of the signs of Imamah. Imamate is always with the armament wherever it may go. And we believe that when Imam Mahdi alayhi salam returns, he will have Zulfiqar, the sword that Rasulullah gave to Imam Ali. The second hadith is from Abu Abdullah. So if the first is from Imam Rida, and we don't believe in Imam Rida. The second is from Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. It should be at least of interest. He said, in the case of those who rush to hold control of this matter and who claim to be for it, he was asked, how would one verify their possessing divine authority? The Imam said, they are asked about the rules of lawful and unlawful matters. In other words, his knowledge on the halal and the haram. The narrator has said that the Imam then turned to me and said, there are three evidence that are not found in one person except the rightful owner of this, except he's the rightful owner of this status as Imamah. He must be the closest person to the preceding Imam. I can say, well, Ismail was close to the Imam. At least in his lifetime. Ismail passed, but let's say, okay, this is a condition tick. That the armament must be with him. We don't have a hadith about this. So one of the conditions among the three is gone, so khalas. And he will be appointed the executor of the will in a public manner. Never happened with Ismail. People thought, yeah. People said, yes. People spoke, yes. Even to the extent, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam was accused by one of his companions that he lied because of Ismail. The Imam was accused by Sulaiman ibn Jarir that the Imam lied. And he's a mal'oon, this companion. Because Imam Sadiq never appointed Ismail and changed or whatever. There is no nas. For there to be nas, it must be the statement of the Imam that this my son, he will be the Imam after me. He will inherit my position. This is Nas. This scholar said, this Sahabi said, this person taught, this person says this is an ishara or indication. This is all nothing. This is not Nas. This does not form Nas. This is your own observation, your speculation, your ijtihad of fallible people. This is not the statement of the Imam. And we will come to this point later on. The third hadith. Abu Abdullah alayhi salam was asked, by what thing the Imam is recognized? He said he is recognized through a publicly established will, through excellence in perfection. In the case of Imam, no one must be able to raise objections in matters of words, of his consumption, and sexual matters, so that people would say he is a liar, usurping others' properties and such similar things, his character and all that. طيب, the fourth hadith, Sahih. This is from Abu Ja'far. Who is Abu Ja'far? Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, the father of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. He was asked, what is the sign of being a number of what is the sign of being an Imam? A number of our people has narrated from the Imam. The Imam said, being of pure birth, good upbringing, and he must not trifle or engage in amusement. More qualities. The next hadith from Imam al-Rida alayhi salam. So I will not mention that. Then the last hadith, it says, Abu Abdullah alayhi salam said, the grading here is majhul, but there are other supporting hadiths for this. This is from Hisham ibn Salim from Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. He said, the leadership is with the elder as long as he is free of defects. Now, Ismail was not the elder. Abdullah al-Aftah was, and he had defects, as many as you like. طيب, we move to the next issue or the next point. So on this, why I mentioned those, just to recap or refresh your memory, is because the claim is Imam Sadiq deputized him, he traveled with him, he accompanied the Imam, he was asked to enact punishment on somebody who killed a follower of Imam Sadiq. So, I responded to all this. I gave the example of Osama, the example of people who were given, the banner by Rasulullah in certain battles. So they were not Imams. And then I mentioned the ahadith stating the condition or the conditions for how to identify or know the Imam. طيب. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, they are under the heading of historical facts about Ismail bin Ja'far. طيب, we are through with this. So I will touch on proof number 1. And there are many claims here. And then, inshallah, proof number 2, number 3, 4, till 7, we will come to them. Tomorrow, if I can answer maybe one or refute or respond to one or treat one, I will do so. And if it is 2 or 3, as many as possible. Because now I've already been speaking for like 1 hour and I'm feeling like my mouth is drying up. So I will just treat on proof number 1 and then I will call it a day, inshallah.
May Allah bless you, Akhi. May Allah bless
you. Jazakallah. So, the proof number 1 on this website, it says, Imam Ja'far designated Maulana Ismail as the next Imam by the rule of Nas as per 12 Ismaili, Sunni and academic sources. Now 12 I understand. Ismaili, I understand. Sunni, I understand. Academic sources, I don't. Yani when you quote, for example, Wilfred Madelung, like, where does he get his, like, who puts him as the judge? Isn't he like an employee in one of, I think, an Ismaili institute or something? Like, why do you appeal to an Orientalist to give his testimony on who was the Imam? Like, this is so, this is something that really cannot get into my head. It really can't get into my head. But anyway, that aside, I am not going to respond to claims attributed to Sunnis or academic sources or Ismaili sources. This is not my problem. The purpose of responding to this website is because Nawasib have been going to this website and they are picking out the misleading information and they are attacking the Shia, the Ithna Ashariya Shia. Because of this, it is necessary for me or anybody else to actually answer or respond. And this is what I'm doing. So I'm not going to pay attention to claims attributed to Sunni scholars or text or Ismaili text. No, this is not my business. My business is with the 12er literature and scholars who have been misrepresented, either by being misquoted, mistranslated, or misinterpreted. All these are actually seen on this website. Like, for example, the first point that Ismail said, I am of the Ahlul Bayt. He never said that. That's a clear misquotation. Type. If you go down, number 1A, this is proof, number 1A. What is the claim here? It says, the earliest historical sources and the majority of sources, both Ismaili and 12er, bear witness that Imam Ja'far designated his son Ismail as the next Imam. MashaAllah. When you make such a claim, yani, I would expect you to give me like 10 hadiths from Al-Kafi and say, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq said here, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, like I did, 2 or 3, 4 nights ago, giving you the nas for the Imamah of Imam Musa al-Kazem. I would expect for you to do the same thing. But guess what? Guess what they did here? The earliest 12 authors that confirmed Ismail's designation by Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam include Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti. He lived in the 4th century or died in the 4th century, yani at the time of the 12th Imam. So his book, Firaq al-Shia, page 55. Tayyib. Then, the second evidence is Sayyid ibn Abdullah al-Qummi, Kitab al-Maqalat wal-Firaq. Quoted, they are quoting the scholars, attributing these statements to the scholars. The first one to Nawbakhti in blue ink or in blue color, the text is in blue. Ja'far ibn Muhammad designated Ashara ilayh, the imamate of his son Ismail ibn Ja'far. So they are attributing this statement to Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti. Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti was not an Ismaili. He was a 12er. In other words, he was our scholar. He was not an Ismaili. So if Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti believed that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq pointed or indicated Ashara ilayh to Ismail on the imamate, it will be hypocritical for him to refuse the Imamah of Ismail. If you or anybody or any of the brothers in this room or anywhere who is, for example, a follower or believer in the Imamah of Ismail, if you give me evidence, convincing evidence, that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq appointed Ismail, I am ready to become Ismaili. then I will be thinking, am I going to be a Ghakhani or will I be Bora or whichever sect you guys have among yourselves? But I will accept the Imamah of Imam Ismail, as you call him, and I will abandon the Imamah of Imam Musa al-Kazem if you can give me evidence. But so far what I am seeing is not only evidence, is not only unconvincing, it's even misrepresentation. طيب. If you just exercise patience, I would examine the books of An-Nawbakhti, the stated book, Firaq al-Shia, and the book of Sayyid ibn, what's his name? Sayyid ibn Abdullah al-Ash'ari al-Kummi in Kitab al-Maqalat wal-Firaq. Now, if you look at the book titles, they contain the word Firaq, sects, or denominations. So these two books are talking about the history of sects. طيب. Let's see if truly these two people, they actually made this claim that Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he actually designated his son. طيب. We will go to the first book by An-Nawbakhti. I will pin the link. This is page 68, Firaq al-Shia, Hassan bin Musa al-Nawbakhti. Now, this is a different edition. It may not be what, they are, but it's the same book, the same work, the same statement. He said, Al-Qa'ilun bi-imamat Muhammad bin Ismail bin Ja'far. Those who claim the imamah of Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ja'far. He said, وفرقة ثالثة زعمت أن الإمام بعد جعفر بن محمد Ismail bin Ja'far. That there is a third sect that claimed that the Imam after Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salam was Muhammad ibn Ismail. وأمه ولد, and his mother was ولد. وقالوا أن الأمر كان لإسماعيل في حياة أبيه. That they say the Imamah was for Ismail in the lifetime of his father. فلما توفي قبل أبيه جعل جعفر بن محمد الأمر لمحمد بن إسماعيل. That when Ismail died in the lifetime of his father, they say that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq gave the Amr to Muhammad bin Ismail. وكان الحق له ولا يجوز غير ذلك. And the truth was for him, and this is not permissible for any other person. لأنها لا تنتقل من أخ إلى أخ بعد الحسن والحسين, because it cannot be transferred, that's the imamah, from one brother to another after al-Hasan wal-Husayn alayhim as-salam. ولا تكون إلا في الأعقاب, and it cannot be except by descent. ولم يكن لأخوي إسماعيل عبد الله وموسى في الإمامة حق كما لم يكن لمحمد ابن الحنفية. I go to the second page, 69. It cannot be for the brothers of Ismail, that's namely Abdullah and Imam Musa, just like Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya did not have a stake in this after Imam Hussein passed away. وأصحاب هذا القول يسمون المباركية. And the people who say such thing, their name is al-Mubarakiyya. Now, these are the ancestors of today's Agha Khanis, the Mubarakiyya. برئيس لهم كان يسمى المبارك مولى إسماعيل. That through the Ra'is whom they had, or the leader they had, and his name was Al-Mubarak, and he was a servant of Ismail. طيب, we go on. It says, فأما الإسماعيلية فهم الخطابية أصحاب أبي الخطاب محمد بن أبي زينب الأسد الأجدع، وقد دخلت منهم فرقة في فرقة محمد بن إسماعيل وأقروا بموت إسماعيل بن جعفر. That the Ismailiyya, they are the Khattabiyya, the followers of Abu al-Khattab, Muhammad ibn Abi Zaynab al-Asadi, and دخلت منهم فرقة في فرقة محمد بن إسماعيل وأقروا بموت إسماعيل. That a group joined them and they testified to the death of Ismail. وهم الذين خرجوا في حياة أبي عبد الله جعفر بن محمد عليه السلام. And they were those who revolted in the time of Abi Abdullah alayhi salam, that's Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. So this is a very long nas, and I'm trying to get the particular place whereby this statement, whereby they are attributing it to Nawbakhti, it is so clear that Nawbakhti did not actually made this statement. طيب, this is page 68. I started reading from 67. طيب. If you go back to 68, even before that 67, page 67, it says, at the bottom, it says, وفرقة زعمت أن الإمام بعد جعفر ibn Muhammad Ismail bin Ja'far. That there was a group that claimed that the Imam after Ja'far ibn Muhammad, he was Ismail ibn Ja'far. وأنكرت موت Ismail. And this group of Ismailis, they denied the death of Ismail في حياة أبيه, in the lifetime of his father. وقالوا كان ذلك على جهة التلبيس. That this was a form of camouflage that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq did over people because he was scared for his son, so he sent him into غيبة. وزعموا أن إسماعيل لا يموت, that Ismail will not die حتى يملك الأرض, until he takes over the earth, يقوم بأمر الناس وأنه هو القائم, He will lead people, and he is the Qa'im. This is what they are saying. لأن, this is the part, لأن أباه أشار إليه بالإمامة بعده. طيب. This is what Nawbakhti is explaining about this group of Ismailis. That they say لأن أباه, because they say his father pointed to him or indicated, he gave indication that Ismail will be the Imam. So, O Ismailis, why do you do this? Why do you falsely attribute this statement about Ismail being declared the Imam? Not declared. Ashara ilayhi means given indication. It's indication, and this is subjective even. Ishara, if you do ishara, this is not necessarily nas. So now the question is, why do you claim that this is the statement of An-Nawbakhti? Shouldn't the Ismailis make an apology for this? We demand an apology. I, as a 12er, I demand an apology from the people, the Ismailis, who authored the website. You attributed a false statement to An-Nawbakhti. The link is pinned. The link is pinned. I will read this one more time. This is not, it's not a joking matter. It's not something we can oversight. Whoever is in charge of this website should apologize. This is falsely attributing a statement to An-Nawbakhti, who is one of our pioneers, that he said Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq appointed or indicated the Imamah of Ismail. And they mention this book. I'm going to read it again, and I will translate word for word. This is from page 67 of his book, Firaq al-Shia by An-Nawbakhti. The link is pinned. This is from library.shia.ir. He said, وفرقة زعمت أن الإمام بعد جعفر ابن محمد ابنه إسماعيل. There was a faction or a group, a sect, that claimed that the Imam after Ja'far ibn Muhammad was his son, Ismail. وأنكرت موت إسماعيل في حياة أبيه, and they denied the death of Ismail in the lifetime of his father. وقالوا كان ذلك على جهة التلبيس من أبيه على الناس لأنه خاف فغيبه عنهم. That this was his father, hiding, concealing him, so he was scared over him and he sent him into غيبة. وزعموا أن إسماعيل لا يموت, that Ismail, they claim Ismail will not die حتى يملك الأرض, until he takes over the earth. يقوم بأمر الناس, he will lead the people. وأنه هو القائم, and he is the قائم. In other words, he is the Mahdi. When you say وأنه هو القائم, يعني he is the Mahdi. طيب. The following page, it says وأنه هو القائم. After that, the following page, لأن أباه أشار إليه بالإمامة. Who is talking here? Is it Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti? This is shameful. It's embarrassing. And he goes on to explain about them. Nobody on earth can read this and claim that this is the statement of An-Nawbakhti. Impossible. This is forgery. Forgery. You're forging a statement and attributing it to a person who didn't say it. Nawbakhti is simply a narrator narrating about these people, these Ismailis who believed Ismail did not die, his father hid him, he will return as the Mahdi, because they believe that his father indicated him. Is this the statement of Nawbakhti? طيب, I will go on. The next book, Al-Maqalat wal-Firaq, of who? Ali ibn Babawayh al-Qummi. Not even al-Ash'ari al-Qummi, not even Sa'ad, not Sa'ad ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, no, or Sayyid. It is Ali ibn Babawayh al-Qummi. So I will pin this link. It's page 80. Sorry, let me just get the page. Let me see. I have pinned the book. I will open the page. This is, if you go to page 78, it's explaining the Ismailis. إلى القول بإمامة أبي عبد الله فلم يزل يأتيه على إمامته أيام حياته غير نفر منهم فإنهم لما أشار جعفر ابن is talking here about the Ishara. Now, if you go to, this is 78, about these people that claim, it's still a claim by these people, doing that they did Ishara, he did Ishara, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq did Ishara to his son Ismail. طيب. In this statement, to clarify that this is not the statement of Ali ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, just go to 79, 80, page 80. It says, وفرقة زعمت أن الإمام بعد جعفر ابنه إسماعيل بن جعفر, that a faction after Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, they claim that the Imam is Ismail ibn Ja'far. وأنكرت موت إسماعيل في حياة أبيه, and they denied the death of Ismail in the lifetime of his father. وقالوا كان ذلك, it's almost like word for word with what I read from Firaq al-Shia by Nawbakhti. Now I don't know if this author is copying from Nawbakhti, I don't know. Anyway, it says وقالوا, but just listen to the words so that you will see how this man, he doesn't even prove their case. He destroys their sect. He destroys them. So why didn't they present this? Why did they present what he was supposedly 2 pages earlier? He was narrating, which was the case, the prevailing case about certain people he was narrating. They are putting this statement to his words without continuing what he said in the following pages for context. See what he said. He said, there is a group among them who claimed that the Imam after Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is Ismail. وأنكرت موت إسماعيل في حياة أبيه, and they denied the death of Ismail in the lifetime of his father. وقالوا كان ذلك يلتبس على الناس لأنه خاف عليه نفسه عنهم, that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq concealed him because he was scared over him. He concealed him from people. وَزَعَمُوا, زَعَم, when you use the word زَعَمُوا, it means somebody claims. It's unsubstantiated claim. He goes on. He said, وَزَعَمُوا أَنَّ إِسْمَعِيلَ لَا يَمُوت, Ismail will not die حَتَّى يَمْلِكَ الْأَرْض, until he takes over the earth, وَيَقُومْ بِأُمُورِ النَّاسِ, and he takes over the affairs of the people, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ الْقَائِمُ, and he is the Qa'im or the Mahdi, لأن أباه أشار إليه. Whose statement is this? Ibn Baba wa al-Qummi? No. Whose statement? These people who are claiming here that Ismail did not die, he will return, he will rule over the earth, he will rule over the affairs of people. He will, because his father pointed to him. This is what Ibn Baba wa al-Qummi is saying. What these people are saying, لأنه هو القائم, لأن أباه أشار إليه, وأنه هو القائم, لأن أباه أشار إليه بالإمامة بعده, وقلدهم ذلك له, وأخبرهم أنه صاحبهم, because according to them, he showed them that, he informed them of this, that he was their master. This is what he's attributing to them. He's quoting what these people are saying. He's not the one saying it. So how do you go write on your website that this 12th scholar says that Imam Sadiq, he pointed at the Imamah of Ismail? How do you do this? Who does this? Wallah, who does this? You are attributing lies to our scholars. If you want, the link is here. Read. If you need a translator, get a translator. How can this scholar say, this is what these people are saying, and you're telling me that this is what the scholar is saying? You're putting words into his mouth he never said. This is not a joking matter, you know. Maybe even if the Hausa is actually paying attention, and maybe there is some way, we can actually file a lawsuit at this. This is a misrepresentation of our beliefs, of our scholars. You are actually misleading Ismailis, and you're misleading 12ers who haven't read these books, or who perhaps don't know Arabic to understand what is being said. This is what you're doing. This is not honest. This is deception of the highest order. This is not excusable. And it should be removed from the website, except if you want to continue disgracing yourselves. I have read verbatim, word for word. And I will even go further so that you see how this man actually, how he speaks about you people. You didn't quote that. Then he goes further. He said, وَهَذِهِ الْفِرْقَةِ هُمَ الْإِسْمَاعِلِيَّةِ الْخَالِصَةِ. He said, these were the original Ismailis who believed Ismail will, he will come, he will this, he will that, because they believe the nas was given to him by his father, because they, believe that his father, ashara ilay, he indicated at him. Then he goes on, he said, hum al-Ismailiyatul Khalisa, they are the pure Ismailis. Then he goes on to say, وَفِرْقَةٌ ثَالِثَةٌ زَعَمَتْ أَنَّ الْإِمَامَ بَعْدَ جَعْفَرْ بن محمد بن إسماعيل وأمه ولد، وقالوا أن الأمر كان لإسماعيل في حياة أبيه، فلما توفي أبيه جعل جعفر بن محمد الأمر لمحمد بن إسماعيل، وكان الحق له ولا يجوز لغيره. ولا يجوز غير ذلك. That another group believe that the Imamah was for Muhammad ibn Ismail when his father passed away in the lifetime of his father. That's when Ismail passed in the lifetime of Imam Ja'far. Some Ismailis who were Ismailis, they believed that the Imamah was for his son. Then he goes on to say, he said, فَأَمَّا الْإِسْمَاعِلِيَّةُ الْخَالِصَةُ فَهُمُ الْخَطَّابِيَّةُ. That the original Ismailis, they were Al-Khattabiyya. What is Al-Khattabiyya? Followers of Abu al-Khattab. See what he said. He said, أما الإسماعيلية الخالصة فهم الخطابية أصحاب أبي الخطاب محمد بن أبي زينب الأسدي الأشدع لعنه الله. لعنه الله. This is what he said.
This is crazy. Really, really crazy.
He sends la'na.
Wow.
He said, these were the followers of Abu al-Khattab. لعنه الله. He's sending la'na on your founder.
My goodness. Wow. This is shocking. Big shocking.
Listen, he said, وَقَدْ دَخَلَتْ مِنْهُمْ فِرْقَةٌ في فرقة محمد بن إسماعيل وأقروا بموت إسماعيل في حياة أبيه. And then there's another group of Ismailis, those, who didn't believe Ismail died. These were not, he said, according to him, these are not the original Ismailis. No, the original ones, they were the ones who accepted Ismail had died in the time of his father, and the Imamah was for his son. These are the pure Ismailis, and they were the followers of Abu al-Khattab. La'anahullah. This is what he is saying about your founder. Why didn't you mention that he sends la'na on Abu al-Khattab? This Abu al-Khattab, who was he? They believe that when Ismail died, our Ismaili brothers, if you ask, if those who know among them, that after Ismail died, the soul of Ismail, after I think Ismail died, this is in Firaq al-Nawbakhti, not the soul of Ismail, the soul of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, that after Ismail died in the time of his father was the Imam, but the Imamah went to Muhammad. But before it went to Muhammad ibn Ismail, the soul of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, it went into Abu al-Khattab. It entered into Abu al-Khattab.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So now, we the Shia who believe in the Imamah of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam and his children, now we have somebody who is not from the Ahlul Bayt in the person of Abu al-Khattab, that Ibn Baba Wayl al-Kummi, he's sending la'na on him, and you quoting on your website that Ibn Baba Wayl al-Kummi, he believes in the Imamah of Ismail, and he's sending la'na upon one of your leaders of the Ismaili movement, of the Batiniya movement. They believe the soul of Imam Ja'far went into Abu al-Khattab, and later when Abu al-Khattab was killed, the soul of Abu al-Khattab, or this soul, went into Muhammad ibn Ismail. This is, I don't know what they call it, transmigration of souls, I don't know what they call it. They have this belief. So, my problem is not what you believe in. My problem is, if this scholar is actually sending la'na on Abu al-Khattab, and he was your early leader, why did you not actually say this? Why did you misquote him? Why did you misattribute statements to him? Then there is even a funny story here, that when Abu al-Khattab and his followers, they rise up in Medina, or in Kufa, wherever, in this book, that he told his followers to fight, that they should fight against the authorities, that's the Caliph, the Banu Abbas, that the governor who was there, I don't want to continue reading because it's not really related, I'm just mentioning this, that he told his followers to fight with sticks or with canes, that every time you hit them with your stick, it will actually inflict on them the injury of a sword. This is what he said, the sword or an arrow. Every time you whip, the soldiers of the Caliph, it is as if you're using a weapon. So they ended up killing all his followers, They were complaining to him. He said, Allah did bada. You know, they will criticize, they will tell you, oh, you know, the Shia Ithna Asharis, you believe in bada. We don't believe in bada in terms of change or whatever. Like it's actually misattributed to Sheikh al-Saduq on your website. But see, Abu al-Khattab, after he actually took his followers into destruction, and he told them to use sticks, that every time they use stick to, you know, to attack the soldiers of the caliph, it is as if they are using a weapon. All of his followers ended up massacred except one. And he was killed. This is Abu al-Khattab. Tayyib. If you go, for example, to Wiki Shia, this is our encyclopedia. I will pin it for you. On Abu al-Khattab. Who was Abu al-Khattab? This is the profile of Abu al-Khattab. It says, Abu al-Khattab Muhammad bin Abi Zainab al-Miqlas al-Asadi, also known as al-Barrad al-Ajda, is the founder of the Ghali sect of Khattabiyya. He was also among the revolutionaries of the beginning of the Abbasid era. He is also counted among the founders of Ismailism, and he is considered one of the abwab of the Nusayriyya. This is Abu al-Khattab. Now you check narrations in Imami sources, that's in our sources. Several hadiths are quoted from Abu al-Khattab, from Imam Sadiq. In some of this hadith, it is clearly stated that the hadith is quoted from Abu al-Khattab when he was not yet deviated. Sheikh al-Tusi has mentioned in Uddat al-Usul that the Imamiyya has relied on the hadith quoted by Abu al-Khattab while he was on the right path. Whereas Ibn al-Ghadairi has emphasized on rejecting this hadith in his du'afa. In other words, everything, take it away. We don't want. In Shia sources, Abu al-Khattab, below, under the heading of in Shia sources, Abu al-Khattab, in various traditions, Abu al-Khattab is called a fasiq, sinner, a kafir, unbeliever, mushrik, polytheist, and God's enemy, aduwullah. In a hadith quoted by Sheikh al-Saduq, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is said to have counted Abu al-Khattab among those on whom shaitan descends. In other hadiths, it has been stated that Abu al-Khattab will attribute lies to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam and distort his sayings. It is reported that after his deviation, Abu al-Khattab will still go to visit Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, but the Imam will drive him away. So, since the different groups of Ghulat in the 2nd century Hijrah and 3rd centuries were inclined to Abu al-Khattab, the Ghulat, this was one of their leaders, the Batinis, among them, the Ismailis. Were inclined to Abu al-Khattab. Imam Mahdi is reported to have written a letter and repudiated Abu al-Khattab. All this criticism of Abu al-Khattab have created a very negative image of him in Imami sources. In Ismaili sources of the Fatimid era and after, Abu al-Khattab is severely reproached. In other words, in early Ismaili accounts, they condemned Abu al-Khattab. Abu al-Khattab, but he carried, out certain beliefs about Ismail Muhammad ibn Ismail and all that. These were his beliefs. They are in Ismaili sources of the Fatimid era and after. Abu al-Khattab is severely reproached as an exaggerator and an unbeliever. However, in the book Dastur al-Munajjamin, the manual of the astrologers, which is an important work among the Nizari Ismailis, the Agha Khanis, Abu al-Khattab and Abdullah bin Maymun are counted among the most well-known companions of Imam al-Sadiq. Sahabiyun Jalil. He was a glorious companion. This is Abu al-Khattab. In the Fatimid era, no. In the Nizari literature, yeah, he is praised. طيب. We move to the next point. We finished from the issue of the misattribution to Al-Nawbakhti and Ibn Babawayh al-Qummi. We finished this. I read their works. They are from their books. This is a misattribution, false attribution.
Sayyid, just so, just to clarify, because I was trying to catch everything as you were speaking. The from the Ismaili perspective, in order to establish the nas of Ismail, they say it's because of the ishara of Imam Sadiq that he
Yes.
pointed towards him.
So basically, I will come to this issue of ishara,
Uh,
inshallah. You
okay,
will
okay.
see what they mean by ishara. So,
Okay.
so we will get to this issue of ishara. Let's not beat the gun. We will get there. But the point is, this ishara, this issue of ishara or indication, ishara in Arabic means a pointer or an indication. So this ishara which they are talking about, this is not from the statement of the Imam. This is based on their observation of what the Imam did, and they interpreted as an indication that this is a silent declaration that the Imam will be Ismail. But as far as Nas is concerned, there is no Nas. There is no statement from the Imam, from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. This is the point here. And this is the reason you see they are going to Nawbakhti, a history book about Shia sects. And they are attributing a statement to a Shia scholar that he didn't say, or to two Shia scholars, which were more or less narrative about certain groups. I will get to this issue of Ishara. You will see how clear it is. It's not a problem. It's no different, by the way, than our Sunni brothers, saying that, for example, Rasulullah gave, Ishara about Abu Bakr. We will get to that.
I was just going to mention that. What's the difference? Because Sunni's saying the same thing. Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, so in the next point on the Ismaili website, again, they say here, Ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, just a minute. You see, they even make a mistake on the names. Al-Imamah wa Tabsira, this book, just a minute. So let me pin the link to this. This is from Al-Imamah wal Tabsira Ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, page 73. There is no mistake on the name. No, the name, no mistake here. I will pin this. This is an early walk, by the way. This is from around the time of the ghaiba of the 12th Imam. So this is the claim. It says, Ali bin Babawayh al-Qummi, al-Imamah wal-Tabsira, page 73, reports Imam Ja'far telling his son Abdullah that his full brother Ismail possesses the light and nur of Imamah in his face, and that Ismail is from the Imam's own soul, nafs, nafsi. The latter is identical to how Prophet Muhammad said that Ali is from my soul, nafsi. In blue ink, this is the quotation. The above is the description of what is to come about the quotation. The blue ink is the quotation. This they are quoting from Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawayh al-Qummi. What did they quote here? Watch carefully. Imam Ja'far Abu Abdullah, in bracket, was reprimanding and admonishing Abdullah, as his oldest son. Imam Sadiq was reprimanding him. Correct. Saying, why can't you be more like your brother? By God, I recognize the light and nur in his face. Abdullah said, aren't my father and his father the same? Aren't my mother and his mother the same? Then Imam Ja'far alayhi salam said, verily, Ismail is from my own soul, nafsi, while you are my son. Watch, look at pay attention to the underlined wordings. Imam Ja'far Abu Abdullah said, verily, Ismail is from my own soul, nafsi, while you are my son. Well, who are they attributing this to? In blue ink, under Ali ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, died 939 to 941. Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira, Madrasat Imam al-Mahdi Qum, hadith number 63. Read the Arabic text. Tayyib. I am going to click on the Arabic text, which I have pinned. What does the Arabic text say? And by the way, when the Jahil, the Nasibi Farid, La'natullahi alayh, when he was addressing Brother Tanwir, he stated this point. And this lie, because Farid is a Jahil, he read this on the Ismaili website, he likely did not cross-check. So he came and, I'm going to use this in a debate or in a discussion with an Ithna Ashari Shi'i. I'm going to record him and put it on YouTube because he's a Jahil. Now, let us read what is written here. It says, عن أبي عبد الله محمد بن يحيى عن محمد بن الحسين. The hadith is 63. عن جعفر بن بشير عن فضيل عن طاهر عن أبي عبد الله عليه السلام, from أبي عبد الله. قال كان يلوم عبد الله ويعاتبه ويعظه ويقول, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he used to blame Abdullah, his son, and he used to more or less like condemn him, caution him, and advise him. Imam Sadiq said, ما يمنعك أن تكون مثل أخيك? What prevents you to be like your brother? فوالله إني لأعرف النور في وجهه. By Allah, I know the light on his face. قال عبد الله, Abdullah said, أليس أبي وأبوه واحدان? Is my father and his father not the same? وَأُمِّي وَأُمُّهُ وَاحِدًا, and my mother and his mother, are they not one? فقال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام إنه من نفسي وأنت ابني. Abu Abdullah replied that he is from my nafs. You're my son. Now, question. In all I read in Arabic, did any of you hear me pronounce the name Ismail in this hadith?
No, I
No,
didn't.
you didn't.
It's not there.
Okay.
So why does the Ismaili website, why do they claim that the name of Ismail is mentioned in this hadith? Why? Why do you claim in this hadith the name of Ismail is mentioned? It's not there in the Arabic. I just read it for you. This is point number one. And to make it worse, they accused Sheikh al-Kulayni of tampering with the hadith in Al-Kafi. I will show you.
So on their website, they say that there's a name included?
On the Ismaili website.
Yeah.
You don't have it?
Notice. Yeah, the Ismaili notice, right?
Yeah. So they claim in this hadith, Ismail's name is mentioned. This is what they are claiming. And then after that, whereby they actually underlined and all that, Ismail is from my own soul. Ismail is from my own soul. In quotation marks, they are attributing it to this book, Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawi al-Qummi. I just read the Arabic. The name of Ismail is not there. Tayyib. To make it worse, what did they say in the below? They said, note. The 12 Shi'i hadith compiler Al-Kulayni died 941, quoted the above hadith with the same chain as Al-Qummi in Usul al-Kafi, in Al-Kafi, but Kulayni removed the name of Imam Ismail bin Ja'far from the original hadith and instead presented the hadith as evidence for Musa al-Kazem's Imamah. Read the Arabic text of Al-Kulayni's doctored version of the narration. I just read this link that is pinned here, Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira. Ismail's name is not there. So how can Kulayni remove the name of Ismail when the name of Ismail is not here? This hadith is found in Al-Kafi. And they presented the link. Ismail's name is not there. The name of Imam Musa is not there. In the English translation on althaqalain.net, in brackets, the translators of the hadith, the owners of thaqalain.net, they have put the name of Musa in the English. Sheikh al-Kulayni doesn't speak English. Sheikh al-Kulayni is not the author of thaqalain.net. What Sheikh al-Kulayni did, he did ijtihad. He placed the hadith under the chapter on, let me open for you the chapter heading. The chapter heading, tacit and explicit testimony has proof of Abu al-Hasan Musa's divine authority over the people. He presents this along with hadith in support of Imam Musa al-Kazem. This is his book, this is his writing, but the hadith does not contain the name of Ismail in Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawayh. False. You falsely attributed the name of Ismail into the book or the hadith found in Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawayh, and the name of Ismail is not there. So is this not deception? You deceiving people that the name of Ismail is found in a Shia 12 book, in a hadith, in a Shia 12 book. The name of Ismail is not there. So what are we going to do? False attribution. Is this academic? Is this honesty? Now, if I see this, I can recognize the deception. But I pity, the poor people, whether they are Ismailis or Shia 12ers, perhaps they don't know Arabic. They rely on certain translations. Tayyib. I will even go further. First, I will pin the hadith from Al-Kafi. This same hadith which Sheikh Al-Kulaini quoted word for word from the previous link, Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawayh, word for word, verbatim. Sheikh Al-Kulaini did not tamper with anything. He didn't remove, he didn't add. Tayyib. Let's see what Allama al-Majlisi said about this. If you go to Mir'at al-Uqul, what did Allama al-Majlisi said? The Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, in this hadith, he's telling his son Abdullah, why are you not like your brother? I see the light in his face. He's using pronouns in the hadith. No name is mentioned. We don't know which brother. What we know is it's the response of Abdullah. He said, my father and his father, are my father and his father not one? Is my mother and his mother not one? So now, if this statement refers to Imamah, what did Allama al-Majlisi said in Mir'at al-Uqul? He said, if it refers to Imamah and the Nas was for Imam Musa al-Kazem, it means Abdullah was telling his father that my ancestor, my father is Ali bin Abi Talib and my mother is Fatima al-Zahra. So why would he be the Imam while I am not the Imam? This is Abdullah speaking. Abdullah claimed the Imamah for himself, and he died 70 days after his father. So this is the explanation given by Allama al-Majlisi, that even if, this is about Imamah, for Abdullah to say my father and his father are one and my mother and his mother are one, it means he is a child of Sayyidah Fatima and Imam Ali. Why? Because the mother of Imam Musa al-Kazem and the mother of Abdullah, they are not the same women or the same woman. Imam Musa is from another mother. Ismail and Abdullah, they are from a separate mother. They are not from the same mothers. So they are assuming that because Abdullah is saying, is my mother and his mother not one and my father and his father not one, so Imam Sadiq was referring to Ismail here. Tayyib. I will even go further. I am ready to grant you and say Kulaini placed it under the chapter in his book about Imam Musa al-Kazem. Let me be generous with you and say this hadith is about Ismail. I'm going further with you. I'm going to the end. This hadith is about Ismail. How does this prove that he is the Imam? Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is telling his bad son, Abdullah, now why don't you be like your brother? I see light in his face, he's my nafs. So, what are they comparing this statement about nafs in the hadith? That it's the way in the Quran according to them, the Prophet Muhammad told Imam Ali, but it's Allah. But they believe, I think the Quran is the word of the Prophet Muhammad. But anyway, they are saying, the way the Prophet told Imam Ali that he is my nafs, so in the same way, in this hadith, Imam Ja'far is saying, you are my nafs. If somebody says somebody is his nafs, does this automatically mean imamah? If somebody has nur in his face, does this automatically mean imamah? The answer is no. Why? Because in the same Quran, which we read and they read, in verse 9, 128, the word nafs is used, but it doesn't imply imamah. The verse says, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. There certainly has come to you a messenger from your nafs. So when Allah was speaking, this is Surah At-Tawbah, Allah was speaking to the mushrikun, and He's telling them, Rasulullah Muhammad, he's from your nafs. Does it mean the mushrikun we are imams? No. So this shows if Allah is telling them that this is a messenger that has come to you from your nafs, it means the verse has a context. Nafs has a context. You apply the same thing when it comes to the hadith. If I tell you, or for example, Sayyid Sistani, Ayatollah Sistani, he said, don't call the Sunnis our brothers, say they are our nafs. Does this mean they are Ithna Asharis? It has a context. It's in the form of Muslim unity. When Allah is saying Rasulullah, he is from the nafs of the mushrikun, he is from your nafs. In Surah Tawbah, does it mean this is a promotion? No. So it has a context. The hadith, even if I tell you that, or Sheikh al-Kulaini says that this hadith is about Imam Musa al-Kazem, he places it under the tacit and explicit, what does it call it? Tacit and explicit proof of Abu al-Hasan Musa's divine authority. This is the chapter heading. He places this hadith along with the Nas and the other hadith. If there is no other hadith about the Nas given to Imam Kazem, and you show me this hadith, I as a 12er, I will tell you no, thank you. This hadith does not constitute Nas for Imam Musa al-Kazem. Now, if you want to tell me it constitutes praise, I will say yes. And I don't have a problem with Imam Sadiq praising his son, whoever they may be, whether Ismail or Musa or Ali or Ishaq, whichever of the sons of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, I don't have a problem with that. But for you to say that this issue of Imam Sadiq saying he's from my nafs, or he has nur in his face, yani it is the nur of Imamah, this is, you are the one interpolating your words into the hadith. For you to say the name of Ismail is mentioned in the version of the hadith, in the book of Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira of Ibn Babawayh, and Sheikh al-Kulaini, the 12 Shi'i hadith transmitter or compiler, he has expunged the name of Ismail, you're lying. Shame on you. Shame on you. I will go on the proof number 1. I will go to the last. We've been going for over 2 hours. The last point on the proof number 1, it says here, Muhammad ibn Umar al-Kashi, in his Rijal al-Kashi, page 772, reports how the death of Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam, how after the death of Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam, his son Ali al-Rida debated with some people and explained to them that the Shia followers of Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam differed over the question of his successor. In his response to some questions, Ali al-Rida admitted that Ismail had been designated by Imam Sadiq or Imam Ja'far as his successor, and that Ismail was the Imam during his lifetime. So, Nadim, Akhi, are you there?
Yes, Akhi.
Did you hear what I just read?
Yeah, you're saying that the website is saying that the guy admitted that Ismail is the Imam after Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq.
Who admitted?
Who admitted again? I missed.
Imam Rida.
Oh yeah. Imam al-Rida alayhi salam. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
That this
Yeah.
this is
This is a big claim.
this is a lie. This is no.
So,
No.
so now I have to prove that Imam Rida did not say this. So they are claiming that Imam Rida alayhi salam admitted that Ismail was an Imam or the Imam, that Ismail was the Imam during the lifetime of his father or during his lifetime. This is what they are stating. Of course, not to forget, last night I think I mentioned a hadith whereby Imam Sadiq said there cannot be two Imams at the same time. So the only conscious thing to do is for them to say, oh, well, he didn't die in the time of his father, and that is not possible. But anyway, with those two arguments, I can simply discredit this hadith. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into the details. I'm going to dissect the hadith, and I'm going to show them what they are not told on this website, or what the authors of the website do not know. This is what I'm going to do on this last point. So the hadith that is quoted, the hadith is quoted here. It says, he, Ar-Rida, said, they did not used to agree about him, Musa al-Kazim. How could they agree about him when your leaders and elders used to say that Ismail, even while they saw him drink so and so, they were still saying this one is more suitable. They said, he, Ja'far al-Sadiq, did not enter Ismail in the testament or in the will. Ar-Rida said, he, Ja'far, had entered him in the book of Sadaqah while he was an Imam. Now, the problem with this quotation is not one problem. Misinterpretation, mistranslation, misattribution. And I will show you this. Mistranslation or misattribution. The last part where it says that Imam Rida said he entered him in the book of Sadaqah while he was an Imam. This is not true. Not true at all. It's either a misattribution, a mistranslation, or both. This is complete deception. Tayyib. First of all, this hadith, where is it found? This is the hadith in Bihar al-Anwar, volume 25. Bihar al-Anwar, volume 25, page. Sorry, just a minute. I think I made a mistake. Not Bihar al-Anwar. اختيار معرفة الرجال of Al-Kishi, which is correct. Sheikh Tusi, volume 2, page 772. I pinned this. Sorry, I opened the wrong browser. So, this is the hadith here. It says, قال. Sorry, just a minute. I think I opened the wrong one. Just a second. No, this is the wrong link I pinned. Just a minute, please. Yeah, I got it here. Sorry, I made mix of I have like 42 web pages opened. This is the hadith. It says here, حمدوي عن محمد بن عيسى ومحمد بن مسعود عن محمد بن نصير محمد بن عيسى عن صفوان. This is from Safwan. عن أبي الحسن, from أبي الحسن, that's Imam الرضا عليه السلام. قال صفوان أدخلت عليه إبراهيم وإسماعيل ابني أبي سمال أو سمال فسلما عليه وأخبراه بحالهما وحال أهل بيتهما في هذا الأمر وسألاه عن أبي الحسن فخبرهما أنه قد توفي. So Hamdaway report from Muhammad bin Isa and Muhammad ibn Mas'ud from Muhammad bin Nasir or bin Nusayr, Muhammad bin Isa from Safwan, from Abil Hasan, Imam al-Rida. Safwan said, I entered upon Imam Rida with the two sons of Abi Sumal or Summal, Ibrahim and Ismail. These were the two sons of Abi Sumal. So they entered with Safwan to Imam Rida alayhi salam. فسلم عليه, they greeted him, وأخبراه بحالهما وحال أهل بيتهما في هذا الأمر. So they greeted him, and they, two of them, informed him about their condition and the condition of the people of their house about this amr, about this command, about the imamah. وسألاه عن أبي الحسن, and they asked Abi al-Hasan al-Rida, they asked him about Abi al-Hasan Musa, Imam Kazem. فخبرهما أنه قد توفي. So he informed them that Imam al-Kazem alayhi salam had died. قال, they said, did he leave a will? فأوصى, did he leave a will? قال, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, نعم, yes, Imam Kazem left a will. قال, إليك, is it to you? قال نعم, he said yes to me. قال وصية مفردة, did he will to a single person? قال نعم, he said yes, he only will to me. They said قال فإن الناس قد اختلفوا علينا, that our people have disagreed with us. فنحن ندين الله بطاعة أبي الحسن, that we worship Allah with the ta'ah of Abi al-Hasan, Imam Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam. This is what Ibrahim and Ismail, the sons of Abi Sumal, what they are informing Abi al-Hasan, Imam al-Rida, that we accept the imamah of your father. We worship Allah through the imamah of your father, Imam Musa alayhi salam. And now Imam Rida has told them that Imam Musa is dead. They asked him, did he leave a will? He said, yeah, he left a will. Is it for a single person? He said, yes. Is it to you? Yes. They went on to say that people has differed with them. People differed with them. فَنَحْنُ نُدِينُ اللَّهِ بِطَاعَةِ أَبِي الْحَسَنِ, that we follow the imamah of Abi al-Hasan Musa alayhi salam. إِن كَانَ حَيًّا, if he is alive or when he was alive. فَإِنَّهُ كَانَ إِمَامَنَا, he was our imam. وَإِن كَانَ مَاتَ فَوَصِيُّهُ الَّذِي أَوْصَى إِلَيْهِ إِمَامُنَا, and if he is dead, then his executor of will, to whom he gave the will be our imam. This is what they are saying. It sounds quite fair. They believed in the imamah of Imam Musa al-Kazem, and they are coming to find out who is the imam after him, after they were informed Imam Musa al-Kazem has passed away. Fair deal, MashaAllah. So, see the question. So, فما حال من كان هذا حاله مؤمن هو, they are asking Imam Rida that we worshipped Allah through the imamah of Imam Musa al-Kazem. If he was alive, he was our imam, and if he is dead, the person he leaves behind will be our imam. So what is the ruling or the condition of such a person? Is he a believer? Imam Rida said yes. Then guess what? He goes on to mention. He said, قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ أَنَّهُ مَنْ مَاتَ وَلَمْ يَعْرِفْ إِمَامَهُ مَاتَ مِيتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً, that if you die and you don't know your imam, you have died the death of Jahiliyyah. قَالَ وَهُوَ كَافِرٌ, and he's a kafir. قَالَ فَلِمَا تُكَفِّرُهُ فَمَا حَالُهُ, Said, why are you passing takfir? What is his condition? He said, أتريدون أن أضللكم? Do you want me to misguide you, to tell you not to tell you the truth? They said, فبأي شيء نستدل على أهل الأرض? On what can we have dalil over the people of the earth on this issue of Imamah? Imam Rida replied, he said, قال كان جعفر يقول تأتي المدينة فتقول إلى من أوصى فلان فيقولون إلى فلان والسلاح عندنا بمنزلة التابوت في بني إسرائيل حيثما دار الأمر. That when you used, Imam Rida told them, he said, when you used to come to Medina and you ask that for whom did this person left a will, they will tell you to this person. They will know to which person somebody who died left a will. They will know this answer. They will be able to answer. And then he went on to tell them, in other words, the will is an indication of Imamah. Then he went on to tell them, he said, فَيَقُولُونَ إِلَى فُلَانٍ وَالسِّلَاحُ عِنْدَنَا بِمَنْزِلَةِ التَّابُوتِ. And the weapon, the armament of Rasulullah to us is like the tabut of Bani Israel. Wherever it goes, to whomever it goes, the command is with him. So what did they respond to Imam Rida? They said, فَالسِّلَاحُ مَنْ يَعْرِفُهُ. Said the weapons of Rasulullah, who will identify it? You know, very funny, you know. Like Imam Rida is saying the weapon. He said, okay, fine, the weapon. How can we identify the weapon? You know, it's like we can't identify the weapon. They are actually trying to be, you know, kind of stubborn or witty. I don't know. Anyway, listen to this. ثم قال جعلنا الله فداك فأخبرنا بشيء نستدل بها. That may we be your ransom. Tell us something that we can use to identify the Imam. فقد كان الرجل يأتي أبا الحسن يريد أن يسأله عن الشيء فيبتدئ به. See what they said. That in the time of your father, Abu al-Hasan, that's Imam Musa alayhi salam, when people come to ask him certain questions, the Imam will start the conversation about the question. In other words, the Imam used to know what's in their minds. ويأتي أبا عبد الله فيبتدأ به قبل أن يسأله. He said the same thing with Abu Abdullah, Imam Ja'far. If somebody comes to ask him a question, he will start with them. So Imam alayhi salam said, فهكذا كنتم تطلبون من جعفر وأبي الحسن. So yeah, this is how you used to demand from Abil Hasan and Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. They need a sign for the Imamah. You know, like Jesus alayhi salam in the New Testament, when they keep, you know, bugging him, telling him, we need miracles, we need a sign. Jesus told him, he said, an evil and adulterous generation demands a sign. No sign shall be given except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Yeah, the same habits, you know, people never change. The same thing, they come to the Imam, they ask him, they want a sign. Tayyib. The hadith goes on. Qala Ibrahim. Ibrahim, one of the two sons of Abi Sumal, responds. He said, Ja'far alayhi salam lam nudrikahu wa qad mat. He said, Ja'far, you know, we didn't meet him. You know, like it, you know, it wasn't really us, you know, who used to play. He's kind of, you know, trying to cover up, perhaps. So we didn't meet Imam Ja'far. They only, you know, met Imam Musa and now Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam, alayhi salam. So he said, we didn't meet Imam Ja'far, and he died, he had died. Was Shia مجتمعون عليه وعلى أبي الحسن. That when Imam Ja'far, this is the significant part, the reason we are reading this hadith, this is it. So Ibrahim said that when Imam Sadiq and Imam Kazem, they died, he said, الشيعة مجتمعون عليه وعلى أبي الحسن. The Shia used to be, they used to gather around Imam Sadiq and Imam Abil Hassan Musa al-Kazim. In other words, the Shia, they had like ijma, they agreed upon these two Imams. وهم اليوم مختلفون. That today they are in disagreement. They disagree who is the Imam. This is what they are telling Imam Rida. So what did Imam Rida say? He said, ما كانوا مجتمعين عليه. Said no, they were not in agreement on Imam Musa al-Kazim. This is what the Ismaili website is quoting. Pay attention. This is the part. So Imam Rida said, ما كانوا مجتمعين عليه. They were not in agreement on Imam Musa al-Kazim. What did he say further? كيف يكونون مجتمعين عليه وكان مشيختكم وكبراؤكم يقولون في إسماعيل وهم يرونه يشرب كذا وكذا فيقولون هو أجود. How can you say that they were in agreement over Imam Musa al-Kazim and your chiefs and elders, that's from their people, they used to believe in Ismail's Imamah, even though they used to see Ismail drinking wine, and they used to say he was better than Imam Musa al-Kazim. So Imam Rida is saying, how is this possible? That you're saying your people agreed, or the Shia agreed collectively on Imam Musa, when your people did not agree on him, your elders. They used to say Ismail was the Imam. What did they answer? What did Ibrahim and Ismail, the sons of Abu Samal, what did they say here? قالوا إسماعيل لم يكن أدخله في الوصية. The Ismaili website didn't quote this. You know, naughty Ismailis. Very naughty. On this translation, I should call them naughty. See what these guys, whose elders believed in Ismail's Imamah, they did not. They believed in Imam Kazim. They are saying here, he said, oh, you know what? It was obvious, you know, Ismail was not in the Wasiyah. This is what they are saying. What did Imam Rida respond? He said, قد كان أدخله في الكتاب. في الكتاب, not kitab. On the Ismaili website, they translated this as kitab. That Imam Sadiq had placed Ismail part in the kitab. I don't know which kitab. It's kutab, not kitab. Kutab. Scribes. طيب. The next page. Page 159. في كتاب الصدقة. The writers, Ismail was among the writers of the Sadaqah. He was a clerk, in other words. Like Malik ibn Nuwayra, for example. وَكَانَ إِمَامًا. So this is what Imam Rida said, according to this hadith. وَكَانَ إِمَامًا. So what does this mean? Is Imam Rida saying Ismail was an Imam, or was the Imam? Not the Imam. We will get to this point. So did Imam Rida use the word and he was an Imam? Yes. What does this mean? We will see shortly. فقال له إسماعيل بن أبي سمال هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة الكذا والكذا واستقصى يمينه ما سرني أني زعمت أنك لست هكذا ولي ما اطلعت عليه الشمس وليا ما اطلعت عليه الشمس ما اطلعت عليه الشمس أو قال الدنيا بما فيها وقد أخبرناك بحالنا فقال له إبراهيم قد أخبرناك بحالنا فما كان حل من كان هكذا مسلم هو قال أمسك فسكت. So they're still trying to tell the Imam, we are not pleased, not to recognize you as the Imam over whatever the sun comes out upon and all this. But you tell us, somebody who doesn't know his Imam, is he a Muslim? They are pushing the Imam for him to do takfir basically on them. So the Imam did not do direct takfir. He mentioned the hadith that if you die, you don't know the death of Jahiliyyah, if you die, you don't know the Imam, you die the death of Jahiliyyah. So the Imam was trying to be technical with them. Now, he told them, they told him that the Shia, in the time of his father, Imam Musa al-Kazem, and his grandfather, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, they were united on Imam Sadiq and Imam Kazem. Imam Rida said, this is not the case, or this was not the case. How can you say this when your elders and your chiefs, they used to say that Ismail was the Imam, even though they used to see him drink alcohol, and they used to insist that he's better than Musa, or more suitable than Musa. This is what your chiefs used to say. So what did these two young men, what did they say? Or these two men? They said, oh, well, Ismail was not in the Wasiyah. So it was, in other words, it was easy to know that Ismail was not the Imam. So Imam Rida said, well, okay, he was not in the Wasiyah, but, he was part of the writers of the Zakat, and he was an Imam. Now, what does it mean when Imam Rida is saying, even though on the Ismaili website, they mistranslated writer, that he was kana min al-kuttab as-sadaqa. If you want to translate this as kitab, the Imam would have said kana fil kitab as-sadaqa. He was in the book of sadaqa. No, he said kana min al-kuttab as-sadaqa or min kuttab as-sadaqa. He was from the writers of the sadaqa. He was a clerk to his father. That's number one. وَكَانَ imaman, and he was an imam. So, does this mean Imam Rida has approved of the imamah of Ismail? Well, I will prove that this is not what the hadith, this is not what the Imam was saying. That's number one. And of course, number two, why did you not quote, for example, the full hadith where this man told him clearly that Ismail was not part of the wasiyah? He was not part of the nas. There was no nas for him. And the Imam Rida, he didn't object that his uncle was not, his grandfather did not write a will for his uncle. In other words, the will was for his father. In other words, he was not an Imam. Ismail was not an Imam. If based on the conditions earlier, which I read from the ahadith on knowing or identifying the Imam, one of these conditions is the will. If these people are saying the will was not for Ismail and Imam Rida is keeping quiet and he's saying, oh, well, he was part of the scribes who wrote Sadaqah and he was an Imam, what does it mean? Does it mean he was an Imam in the sense that Allah appointed him an Imam? Or does it mean something else? The answer is it means something else, and I will prove this. Just a minute. So, first of all, this hadith if you check on the link I pinned earlier on from Sayyid al-Khou'i from Mu'jam Rijal al-Hadith on the Ismail bin Ja'far, guess what? Imam Sayyid al-Khou'i, he weakens this. He said, أقول في هذه الرواية وإن كانت ظاهرها الدلالة على ذم إسماعيل إلا أن في سندها محمد بن نصير وهو ضعيف فإنه غير محمد بن نصير الثقة الذي هو من مشايخ الكشي كما هو ظاهر. That this hadith, it actually condemns Ismail, that he used to drink. Sayyid al-Khou'i refuses. He said, Ismail was Jalil, and even if he commits some sins, Imam Sadiq loved him. He cried for him. He kissed his dead body. Sayyid al-Khou'i is absolving Ismail. So according to Sayyid al-Khou'i, based on the sanad, to him, this hadith is da'if. This is first of all. But I'm not going to discard the hadith when it contains such an important claim without going into the details. We have to go into the details to expose the game our Ismaili friends are actually playing. I will go into the details. So, what does Allama al-Majlisi say about this hadith? What does it say about this hadith? What does he say about this hadith? He said, قال الأمر في إسماعيل كان واضحا لأنه لم يكن داخلا في الوصية. They said that the command on Ismail was obvious because he was not part of the will. He was not part of the wasiyah. وإنما لم يتمسكوا بظهور موته لأن هذا كان يبطل مذهبهم. But they did not hold on to his death, to Ismail's death, because this will destroy their madhab. لأن موت الكاظم عليه السلام كان ظاهرا. The death of Al-Kazem was also apparent. So these were Ismailis who did not accept the death of Ismail, so they denied that he died. Anyway, he goes on to say, وكان إماما أي وكان الناس يأتمون به في الصلاة. And he was an imam, that Ismail was an imam in the sense that people used to pray behind him during the salah. This is what Allama al-Majlisi said, that people used to pray behind Ismail in the salah. Now if you pay attention, you go back to the hadith, the two sons, what did they say? The two sons of Abi Samal, they said that Ismail was not in the wasiyah, so it was easy to know that he wasn't an imam. So Imam Rida was playing along with them. He said, well, he was part of the Kuttab, the writers, the scribes of the Sadaqah, and he was an imam. They understood the context, that they used these signs as ishara. Because earlier on, Nadim was actually asking me about the ishara when I pointed out, to Sunni saying Abu Bakr led the prayer. Even though Rasulullah didn't ask him, but he led the prayer. And by the way, even if Rasulullah asked him, others too led the prayer. It doesn't make them an imam.
Even like, for example, when we ask how do you prove the Khilafah of Abu Bakr, they say that Rasulullah said, that if you want to know some information, if you want to ask something, and if I'm not around, go to Abu Bakr. This is a clear ishara indicating that this is his legitimacy of the Khilafat. I'm like, well, now that I'm hearing from you that the Imam is pointing towards Ismail, this proves that he's the Khalifa. I'm like, I don't see any difference between these two creeds then. Because both are unambiguous claims. تفضل.
Yeah, so Abu Bakr, go to Abu Bakr. Even that hadith does not even have a context about go to Abu Bakr. Because there is another hadith whereby Rasulullah said, none represent me except myself or Ali, alayhi salam. But anyway, this is the statement of Allama al-Majlisi. Now, you may still have doubt. How did Allama al-Majlisi know? How did Allama al-Majlisi know that when Imam Rida alayhi salam is saying that he was part of the Kuttab of the Sadaqah and he was an Imam? How did Allama al-Majlisi know that Imam here means somebody who leads the prayer and not Imam in the sense of a divinely appointed Imam? First evidence is the matin of the hadith. The guys themselves confessed that Ismail was not in the wasiyah. He wasn't in the will. The second is from another hadith. I will pin this hadith. The question I'm going to answer now, how did Allama al-Majlisi know that Ismail was a prayer leader and not an Imam, based on the statement of Imam Rida that the Ismailis on their website, they are falsely claiming that Imam Rida said that Ismail was appointed Imam. So this is from Basair al-Darajat, page 359. So it says, Hadith number 7. حدثنا محمد بن عبد الجبار عن أبي عبد الله البرقي عن فضال بن أيوب عن رجل من المسامة أو مسامة I think اسمه مسمع ولقبه كردين أو كردين عن أبي عبد الله الصادق عليه السلام. So this hadith is from Abi Abdullah alayhi salam. So the narrator of this hadith, his name is Musamma or Masma. He said he entered upon Abu Abdullah as-Sadiq alayhi salam وعنده Ismail. So he went into the place of Abu Abdullah as-Sadiq and Ismail was with him. قال ونحن إذ ذاك نأتم به بعد أبيه. So he said, this man were praying behind him. That person were praying behind him, Ismail. Is he the Imam after his father? So in other words, Ismail used to lead the Shias in the lifetime of his father in Salah. So some people, based on this, like the Sunnis do about the issue of the praying of Abu Bakr, they say, oh, you know what? This is an indication that he will be the Imam.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah. So this hadith in Basair al-Darajat, page 359, it makes it clear. The question here, قال ونحن إذ ذاك نأتم به بعد أبيه. Is this person we are praying behind, Ismail? Is he the one after his father? في حديث طويل أنه سمع رجل أبا عبد الله عليه السلام أو سمع رجل أبا عبد الله خلاف ما ظن فيه. So Abu Abdullah as-Sadiq told someone the opposite of what he conjectured. He imagined that the person who is leading the prayer, that is Ismail, will be the Imam after his father. So Imam Sadiq gave the opposite answer, that it's not Ismail. قال
He
فأتيت.
says that it's not Ismail.
Yeah, so listen to this. قال فأتيت رجلين من أهل الكوفة كانا يقولان به فأخبرتهما فقال واحد منهما سمعت وأطعت ورضيت وسلمت وقال الآخر وأهوى بيده إلى جيبه. So 2 men of Kufa, they were told about this, that no, it's not Ismail who is leading the prayer, that will be the Imam. So one of them accepted. He said, Raditu wa sallamtu and all that, like I submit, I am pleased, I am content. The other person refused. Like he put his hands into his pockets and all. He was kind of doing, kind of gesturing or gesticulating, placing his hand into his pocket. I think he tore his pocket or something. ثم قال لا والله لا سمعت ولا أطعت ولا رضيت. That no, I did not hear, I will not obey, I am not pleased. حتى أسمعه منه, until I hear this statement from Abu Abdullah, from Imam Sadiq himself. ثم قال خرج متوجها إلى أبي عبد الله عليه السلام. He went towards Abu Abdullah عليه السلام. قال وتبعته فلما كنا بالباب فاستأذنا فأذن لي فدخلت قبله ثم أذن له فدخل فلما دخل قال له أبو عبد الله عليه السلام. So they entered into the presence of Imam Sadiq. So Imam Sadiq said, يا فلان أيريد كل امرئ منكم أن يؤتى صحفا منشرة. That does every one of you need like a revealed scripture for you to believe? إن الذي أخبرك به فلان الحق. Said what your companion has told you, that it is not the person who leads the prayer, that's Ismail, that will be the Imam, is the truth. قال جعلت فداك. May I be your ransom, O Imam Sadiq. إني أشتهي أن أسمعه منك. That I have the appetite or the will to hear this from you yourself. قال إن فلانا إمامك وصاحبك من بعدي يعني أبا الحسن عليه السلام. That Imam Abu al-Hasan, Imam Musa al-Kazem, he will be the Imam after you. And then he goes on to say, فَلَا يَدَّعِيهَا, nobody will claim it, فِيمَا بَيْنِ وَبَيْنَهُ إِلَّا كَالِبٌ, except a liar will claim this. And the hadith goes on. So, with this hadith, we have proven Ismail, he was a prayer leader in the time of his father, and this is what is meant in the hadith that is attributed to Imam Rida alayhi salam. Now, the other part is a mistranslation, that he was in some book or what. No, it's not book. He was part of the scribes of the Sadaqah. He was a clerk. And the other part of the hadith which they concealed, the same hadith, the 2 sons, Ibrahim and Ismail of Abu Sumal, they made it clear that Ismail was not even part of the Wasiyah. Even though there are people used to believe in the Imamah of Ismail and that he did not die. And this was not only in the time of Imam Musa al-Kazim. Imam Sadiq died like 10 years. Imam Sadiq died 10 years after Ismail. Then Imam Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam, if I'm not mistaken, I think his Imamah, let me just check quickly. So Imam Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam was the Imam for over 30 years. So this event between these two people and Imam Rida was almost 40 years after the death of Ismail. So I believe for today, I think we've been going on for like almost three hours. You see, they make, little mistakes here, little mistranslation here, little deception here, big deception here, a lie here. Then for you to respond and provide the evidence and all that, you have to go from one book to the other, another. Because even when I saw the claim of Allama al-Majlisi that Imam Rida meant he was part of the scribes, Kutab as-Sadaqah, and he was an Imam, it means he was a prayer Imam, a prayer leader. I was like, Al-Majlisi, how did he know this? I had to get the hadith from Basair al-Darajat, that Ismail used to lead people in prayer, and they used that as an indication that he will be the Imam after his father. So at this point, I have covered their proof. There are 5 or 6, I think, historical facts according to them, which I debunked. I have treated proof number 1, the separate ahadith they have twisted. Inshallah, tomorrow I will prepare for point number 2, number 3, and as many as I can take, inshallah. And if we are going to go for 1, 2, 3 days, I will cover everything on this website that they have stated, all the hadith they have twisted, all the mistranslations, misattributions. And afterwards, then we can proceed to Bada, to Abdullah al-Aftah, to other issues, inshallah. So, if there is any comment, any contribution.
Jazakallah, Sayyid, mashallah. I don't know how much time did you put into this. It was, may Allah give you ajr, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
May Babul Hawa Imam Musa ibn Jafar be with you the day you die, inshallah.
Ameen. Ameen.
May he be with all of us, inshallah.
Ameen. So I'm just going through to see if our Ismaili friends, they said anything on the room chat.
No, I think they were very respectful towards your room.
Yeah, they are welcome. I'm not attacking their religion. Like I said earlier, I will repeat, I'm not attacking their religion. I'm not trying to, create issues with anybody. I am simply saying that this website is a misrepresentation of our beliefs, of our books. Like, for example, you saw clearly whereby they claim that in the book of Al-Imamah wal-Tabsira, the name of Ismail is mentioned in the hadith. They went to, misrepresent the fame. This is defamation against Sheikh al-Kulayni, that Sheikh al-Kulayni played with the hadith and he removed the name of Ismail. And this is not what Sheikh al-Kulayni did. So, all these games, these gimmicks, whatever they may be, they have to stop. They have to maybe go over their materials, their translations, their writing, and stop actually presenting themselves in this kind of way, because it's actually very shameful, honestly. It's shameful for them. So, inshallah, if no one has anything to say further, we may end the room.
Thank you, Sayyid.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
Jazakallah. Thank you, Sayyid.
وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا. Inshallah, tomorrow is another day. So, inshallah, we'll continue. I will continue with as many points as possible. I will continue refuting their claims which are not correct. Then when we are through with this heading, we can move to the issue of Bada, the issue of Zurara, the issue of Abdullah al-Aftah, in line with proving the Imamah of Imam Musa al-Kazem. I'm still repeating. I'm not attacking you because you are different or anything. No. You can follow whatever you like. It's your choice. Allah in the end will hold everybody responsible. My own responsibility is to prove the Imamah of my Imam, not to assault anybody. And I am only touching on the historical evidence. Nothing that has to do with who you follow, what you believe, presently. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.